Alright, so I may have gotten you guys a little bit with the title. Obviously, the iPad Pro is not about to become extinct, as there are literally two iPads right around the corner for the Apple event on May 7th, which, as of recording this video, it is currently May 5th. So by the time it gets uploaded, probably tomorrow, it's going to be like a day before. So we're pushing this real close to these iPads coming out. But however, I want to talk about the old iPad Pro, the M2 iPad Pro, specifically the one I have right here. And I want to talk about it because, it's on its last stage, right? It probably will become extinct. So I do want to preface this by saying the iPad Pro is a fantastic computing device. It does look extremely modern, right? But it also houses a ton of power using the all-in-one powerhouse that is the M2 chip. Now what's funny is I would be lying if I said I haven't actually pushed this iPad to its limits. I got it thinking I would be able to use it for multiple years. Uh, but as these videos have continued to grow, I've been using it a heck of a lot more. And so, I'm getting to the point where M2 by itself, like as a standalone chip, is actually not as powerful as I actually need. But I will mention, as you can see, buying the iPad Pro, but also pairing it with the Magic Keyboard, although expensive, has actually made editing a breeze, right? Because I use it for different stands. I use it to hold up my iPad, obviously. But editing using the different keyboard shortcuts and having a proper trackpad, it really does kind of make the whole experience a lot easier. And so I do think, although it's a bit more expensive, right? I believe the case was $300. But it does make using it, a lot better when it comes to editing and doing things that I would do. So although I do actually record all of my stuff on my iPhone, like this talking head right here is shot on the 15 Pro Max using cinematic mode because it's actually pretty good. But the footage does take quite up like a lot of space, and so number one, it makes it difficult to move around. I mainly have to rely on AirDrop. Sometimes I can get different cables to do stuff to make it a little bit quicker, but for the most part, right, it's AirDrop or iCloud links. Like it's not super easy because it's like, it's 4K at 30 frames a second is what I usually record at, but it can also be a bit choppy when it comes to editing the video on the iPad. And it just depends. Like if I have that and then I have a whole bunch of different effects and music and stuff all playing at once, like it does begin to get choppy. And so I definitely have pushed M2 to its limits, although it has worked amazing for, what I've needed it for. And so actually I guess probably, yeah, one of the biggest rumors or features that you want to call it is actually, while we're on the subject of chips, will actually be the movement from M2 to M4. Because, I would have expected an M3 iPad Pro, but we didn't get one for over a year, which is actually crazy. I feel like I'm pretty positive that's the first time that's ever happened in the history of iPad just skipping a year. But yeah, no, we're going from M2 to M4, which means it's going to be more than just a 1-year generational improvement. So I would expect some pretty solid gains on the next iPad. But however, if we do look at the scores on the M2 chip, and again, I'm using Geekbench 6, you'll notice on the single core score, it actually scores at 2,622. And then on multi-core, it scores at 9,797. And so if we just kind of take a second to look and compare different scores, they do range a little bit, obviously, but for the most part, it's pretty high, right? And of course, 100% I'm expecting M2 to M4 to, again, be a big jump and will bring a lot of performance improvements, right? But of course, like if you're looking to buy an older iPad, maybe the M2 iPad Pro, it's by no means behind it all, right? It's still, very modern. It's kept the same design language for a good few years now. But of course, right, Apple does have to add these different updates year after year to make it worth it for other people to buy it. As a matter of fact, funny enough, the new iPad Pros are rumored to support OLED display technology, but it also could very well make it a heck of a lot more expensive. So that is definitely something to think about. And again, we don't know, right? It's rumors up until like 2 days from now. So I'm gassed for it. I am so ready. So the current screen on my iPad Pro, the M2, is perhaps slightly more advanced than LCD. But yeah, on the 11-inch iPad Pro, it is still a form of LCD. And even with the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, it actually sports something called Mini LED, which is a whole nother technology. But I still do actually believe the jump from Mini LED to OLED is going to be, noticeable. I don't know how crazy it'll be, but I do believe it will 100% be noticeable. So the current iPad Pro has the Magic Keyboard, right? It's an optional accessory that you can buy and then magnetically attach to your iPad, and it's mainly built out of plastic and silicone, or really, it's entirely built of plastic and silicone. So, however, it is rumored to be a new type of Magic Keyboard for these next iPads, and so they're rumored to be built entirely out of aluminum. In order to quote, make the iPad look more like a computer or a laptop, which I find very interesting, kind of going off how it's been for multiple years, right? Because they really haven't been refreshed hardly at all. But while we're on the topic of iPad accessories, we're seeing teasers for a potential new Apple Pencil as displayed in the event logo. And then, interestingly enough, the new Apple Pencil is rumored to support Find My integration, which would be awesome, so you don't lose it. But also magnetic tips. So instead of the typical, screw it on and off, it should easily click right on and off and be a little easier and cleaner to use, right? So I personally have not had an Apple Pencil that long, but for the time that I have had mine, I do think it works amazingly, and I haven't personally had any issues at all. But of course, it will be really nice to see an upgrade to the Apple Pencil, as it's really been here for such a long time, and it will definitely improve the workflow of a ton of people, I'm sure of it. But that's really been it, guys. Now, of course, I haven't listed every upgrade coming to the new iPads, as this video was a bit more focused on current iPads and the differences between those and the new ones. But of course, the current, M2 iPad Pro will be a great upgrade for people a bit more on a budget, as it should be a little bit more, cheap, not as bank breaking. But I do think because, there's been a lot of anticipation around the new iPad, I do think that the older iPad Pros, the M2, even older ones maybe, will definitely be kicked to the curb, maybe not on purpose, but I do think that after these next iPads do come out, the M2 might begin to feel a bit more extinct, if you feel me, right? That's been it. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked it, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, as it helps me out a ton. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. So yeah, bye guys.